When I was a teenager, there was a Pink Floyd video. And it was these kids just on a conveyor belt into like a fire pit or something. And I've never been able to get that image out of my head of all of these teenagers just being sent to nowhere and to nothing. And my greatest fear is that we still haven't moved beyond that, and that too many of our kids still experience education in that way. But what if school could be totally different?
We all agree on that, but what are we going to do about it?
If we want to truly prepare our kids to have a chance to live their best life, we need to radically rethink the education we grew up with and the message it's sending.
The progressive community regards education as an essential instrument.
This is Diane Tavenner, a former teacher on a mission to reinvent school. She's also a mother.
And yes, my students sometimes called me the Tavenator.
Hasta la vista, homework.
Can you tell us something about how and why you came to use your present method of teaching?
Well, that's pretty big order. I might tell you how I first became interested in trying it out.
Take one, Mark.
As adults, we can get really nostalgic about school.
Here's the old. Those surroundings aren't very inviting.
And that nostalgia can prevent us and inhibit us from actually having a vision for what is possible. Shouldn't the purpose of school be to get our kids ready for life? Isn't that what school's about?
Diane ran with this idea and opened Summit, an innovative school for kids from all backgrounds that doesn't assign homework, and 98% of students get accepted into college. Growing to 10 campuses across the West Coast, her schools have been celebrated by top leaders in the tech industry, including Bill Gates, who said, "I was blown away. It was unlike any school I've ever visited." So what makes it so different?
I really want a school that not only teaches my son how to read and write and do math, but also I want my school to actually think about my son as a whole person.
With this in mind, Diane and her team took the best practices, vetted by learning science, and put them to the test. And this is what they discovered.
Let's talk about grades.
More than half of you failed.
The normal grading and feedback process doesn't actually give students information on how they can grow and improve. Summit gives you the ability to change your grade over time through the option to revise your work and practice iterative and continuous improvement.
And this creates a space for students to, quote, fail forward, a term Diane uses to describe the way students are able to actually learn from their mistakes, rather than feeling punished.
Oh, we're not going to run it by ourselves. Mr. Davis is going to help.
Why don't we make sure that every single student has a mentor? A mentor who cares about them and stays with them year after year to watch them develop and grow, and ultimately to help them move into adulthood.
And research shows that having just one meaningful relationship with an adult has a huge impact on a student's sense of belonging and success after leaving grade school.
Project-based learning is real-world learning, authentic learning. It's the type of learning where kids are getting really hands-on. They're asking big questions and solving big problems, and they're actively engaged in their learning.
Diane's students also get 8 weeks of guided learning in a field that interests them, and even get to decide when they're ready to take a test. But a question might be, could this really work for everyone?
And that's actually not a very good question. The question we should be asking ourselves is, does what work, for whom, under what circumstances? And the power of those three questions is you're actually asking about each individual student. There's all these ways that you can shape education so that each individual can find their own pathway through it. The only limit to giving every child the education they deserve is the limit of our own imagination. My hope for education is what I get to see every single day with kids who are totally engaged and preparing. I believe that every child deserves that kind of education. And that's my hope, that they can all have it.
Our next generation. Are you up to it?